So you want to break into advertising and you're thinking to yourself, shit, what now? Well, in this episode, I talked to Hank Blank. Now, he's been self-employed for the last 20 years, but prior to that, he had a very long stint at J. Walter Thompson, North America, both in Canada and in the United States. Today, he's going to talk to us about building your network. It's a thing we all have come to hate or has perceptions of being horrible, but he actually has some great tips in terms of how to build your network in a new normal. Obviously, today, there aren't as many networking events, but he still gives us tips on what you can do to help build your personal brand and get out there. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe below. And as always, enjoy the episode.
So it's like, hey, you're going to have a lot of jobs in your life, but one thing that is going to stay with you is your brand. Your brand. It's Hank Blank, right? My name on my birth certificate is Henry Blank. A lot of people short form for Henry is Hank, right?
Yeah.
Just like, Elizabeth, it's Beth or whatever, right? This is my business card. When I started my business, I went from Henry Blank to Hank Blank. Best thing they ever did, right?
Yeah.
I branded myself because everybody, when I give them my card, laughs like you do, right? So what? I'm at first base, if you want to use that analogy, or rugby, the yard line or whatever, or so it's already broken. You're starting with laughter. Laughter is a great way to build connection, right? So I say you have to have a strong brand. And now in COVID, we didn't want to exchange anything, that's 6 feet apart. Here, I'll throw my card at you. We're not even networking,
Or sanitize your card, then throw it.
Yeah, I'm going to my first live networking meeting next week, so that'll be interesting. And so I said, you have to create a brand. And I said, you have to have your own business cards, because it's long with your corporate business cards. And why? Because you may go to a networking meeting and you may have an opportunity that's best for your brand versus the company brand, right? And so I believe here's the kind of like the principles. Right. So you have to have your own business cards. And then I said, register your own domain name, hankblank.com or whatever it is. You may not want to build a site, but you want to register your own domain name so nobody else can have it. On Google, what does it cost? $10 a year. It's not Google on
unless your name is Chris Murphy and there's a senator from New York State that has your name.
Yes. So you know what? You can say Chris Murphy, Aussie Chris Murphy. You know what I mean? You get closer to it. I wouldn't do Chris Murphy 178645 like people do in Gmail, right? As closest to that the real Chris Murphy, you know what I mean? Aussie's own Chris Murphy. And and you could be Chris Murphy, and that's just that's your site, you direct people to it. So I believe that you should have your own site, that you should be very active on LinkedIn. And why? I've got 28,000 people on LinkedIn. And I'm not like an open networker where, I go and You know what? I adopted in early 2008 or 2009 when you had Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, they all exploded, and that was in the Great Recession. Yeah. And that was, and I'll tell you right now, the worst thing about these last two things, the Great Recession and COVID, have been very hard on young people, right? Yes. Very hard on young people, really, to make yourself bulletproof. So, and it's about when people Google you, that you own as much of the first page as possible. So what's an easy way to do it? Well, you go on LinkedIn, you had a LinkedIn profile and a great photo and all that. And once a week or once every day, I have a lot of content. So once a week you send out, because of my association with young people, and the more content you have, the better it is. You're in that business. You probably know somebody that could shoot video. You put this podcast up there under your name, maybe, instead of what the shit, and
shit, what now?
yeah. Maybe,
maybe we start an American version, who knows?
Maybe whatever, and so that Twitter, and it doesn't take much. It takes 5 minutes a day. If you don't have your own content, if you're in advertising, then you post something new. a new campaign for electric cars, something very cutting edge, new, how technology is doing this, anything that's new. And, anything that's current that you look like a thought leader, you post that once a week, that helps your ranking. Then, you build up your LinkedIn connections. You can do that with friends, family. You should get to where you have 500 LinkedIn connections. That's like a minimum, right?
Yeah.
I have so many because I've spoken on campuses and, 3 or 4 times a month I'd speak when there were speaking events. You get 1,000 people in a year, 10 years, you get 12,000. You get people from your blog. And then the other thing I started, and it's really the easiest thing is start with a blog. You can do a WordPress blog with your name on it, but put your name there. And, blog is 300 to 400 words, 400 words. Write about your passion. If you're not a writer, then look for a vehicle like YouTube videos. But your site, it shouldn't be, hey, this is my gnarly video of me skateboarding in the park. That's personal, right? It should be, if you want to create a brand, what is your brand value? For me, it's advertising, marketing. So I don't go, I don't post anything about, what's happening to mommies, pamper products, whatever, you know what I mean? Just stay in your zone and build your zone. And your zone should be, obviously your passion. And your passion may not have clarity at a young age. You know what? I used to love reading and writing and, doing things like poetry. And now, that got re-expressed decades later in YouTube videos and blogging and all that. And the other thing I will tell you, when you look at my videos, they're very well produced, as I told you, shot up, for free by my former 24-year-old friend. And why does he do it? Because I give him leads for new business, right?
Yeah.
And he makes money, right? So some of this is done by, there's my dog, Argo, the famous celeb. Aww. And, some of this is done, is built a network of resources around you, which are your smart friends. And smart friends have smart talents in different areas, right?
That's it.
Some people do this, so you get those complementary skills, and then somebody could shoot video for you. But when you do it, rehearse it, don't wing it. It's your brand. It's like, if one of my cards is dirty or has some paint or ink mark on it, I throw it away. This is my brand. You know what I mean? And I didn't really get dressed up too much today, but when I go out, my partner, my wife, she says, "Is that the best brand statement you're going to make today?" And that's why we're jewelry. This is my brand. You know what I mean? This is my brand. It's Hank Blank. I'm a creative guy,
But it's a reflection of your authenticity, right? And I think that's so important these days, where a lot of people come across as disingenuous and try to pass themselves as someone who they're not. But in reality, there's absolutely no problem with just putting forward who you are and what your interests are, and that you're already setting yourself out from the pack, right?
100%, because you know what, and young people especially, and they talk about this, and I think social media kind of made this percolate up to an older audience, is hyperbole. They don't like, you know what I mean? It's, and a lot of young people didn't like networking because their image of networking, and it was in one of my blogs, is in one of my networking business, is Mr. and Miss or Mrs. Martini Man. Hi, how are you? I'd love to do business with you. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's like going to a bar and meeting a girl and say, "Hi, how are you? I'd like to marry you." They go, "Get the hell out of here." You know what I mean?
I'm keen to hear your definition of networking, because a lot of people perceive networking as an awkward room environment, speed dating, awkward exchange of cards. Oh, hello. Oh, this is an awful situation. But if you look at it purely on a human interaction level, it's no different to going to a party and meeting people and saying hello. And just because you you're in a networking, I guess, sphere, everyone thinks that you've got to be commercial outcome driven, whereas it's not always the case.
100%. You know what? what did I have? I had one. You know what? Here's what it is. Networking isn't about going to a place. Networking is about an attitude of engagement, right?
I love that. Please repeat that once more.
It's about an attitude of engagement. Okay. And the course of my time, and I'm lucky, and I, like most people, like most young people, I started off as a shy person. Face it, many people, and they're young, they know the answer to the question, maybe in grade 2, but they're not going to raise their hands, but they know the answer to the question, because we all kind of are like that, and we're afraid of,
getting shot down.
Yeah, being shot down. So networking to me is about an attitude of engagement. And an attitude of engagement is the way that you live your life. That's the most important thing, is an attitude of engagement. And then it makes it easier. And then, you know what, when I used to go, when networking events were around, I used to tell people, go with a pen and 25 cards in your hand, not in your pocket, because, this was how people remembered you. I can remember people from networking events. I can picture one guy now. I probably had an opportunity for him, but I don't remember his name. I remember what he wore, but he didn't have a business card.
Yeah.
Opportunity lost, right?
Yeah.
Opportunity lost. So even I think it works. And what I write down on the card with the pen is what's important to the person.
Brilliant.
What's important. Yes. Because I believe that you get more by asking for less and doing more for others. And the doing more for others isn't like ministry service or anything like that. I'm not going there. Where it's like they said, oh, I just got back from Paris, or I'm going to London in a couple of months. And then I used to be simple. I'd go Google London, 36 hours in London in the New York Times, and send them that article, right?
Yeah.
Or I'd say, I love Sunday supper in Borough Market. There's a restaurant. I love Sunday supper there. Just doing things for them. Why? People remember you better. People remember you better. They remember you for that emotional connection, because you know what? We're all emotional beings. You know what? I start every day without a job. Right? Like when you're employed by yourself, okay, I got a checkbook and write myself a check. Oh, but if there's no money in the bank, you know what I'm doing? I just, so I employed basically by my network, right? And the key of it is to sustain your network. So I am really, and my network has employed me. But you also have to regenerate your network. And I've been able to do that. I have a Hankisms book on my site. You should send me your address. It'll probably take a month to get there, but I'll mail it to you. And who was it? A 24-year-old person that moved out here and with his brothers and they went to a good school here. They found me like you did, through a video, and they said, hey, can you have a coffee? And I said, sure. So he worked for me for a little bit. I ended up getting him a job at an ad agency, because they work for me. Then they can say, well, what do you do? They know the buzz. Well, I helped him with his social media. I helped him get a YouTube channel. I helped him with his metrics. Google. Okay, you got the pattern. Yeah, you know a lot of buzzwords. But the interesting thing, he's 31 now, and he's quit that agency, and he's out on his own, because that's what I find along people. Corey that does my videos, he's got his own company. Robert Gombrowski, he does my stuff. He's got his own company. When I was growing up, it was like, hey, I want to work for the man. You'd go in meetings, and they do the longest employee who's been here for 30 years. I would put up his hand in advertising. He must have had pictures on everybody. We used to joke, but it's a much different business now, right? It's a much different business.
I mean, business cards are great, but we can't necessarily do that at the moment. In terms of replacing your business card and building your brand, I think let's talk about building your brand in the context of networking and what networking looks like in the new normal.
It's harder now. There's 100%, right? Because I will tell you, I've been on tons of Zoom calls and Microsoft Meets, and you don't build the same rapport. You know what? It's just having as much interaction. And I get a lot of interaction from my blog posts, and I don't know, I don't know if you could, what you might do is flip the screen sometime and I go to Google, right? And I'm just using this, so I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And I'm going to go to me, Hank Blank, right? And so here's me on LinkedIn, and I'll show you how I stay in touch with people. Well, you know what? First thing, one way to stay in touch with people, and it's really easy on your LinkedIn phone app. But if you have notifications, and I have a huge network, and people start a new position at media and creative strategy, or they have birthdays, you can see this, that I send them a message. Congrats. Takes me 3 minutes. You can literally, even if they have 20 birthdays on LinkedIn, you go like this, and I'm connected to these people, so they're not strangers. But here's the way I have my content, so I'm going to go to my notifications. Where is it? No, me. I'm going to go to me, not my notifications. View profile, view posts. So my posts. This is how I stay in front of people. So here's my post. And like I posted this today, success today is how you choose to define it. So what's the measure of success post-pandemic? The pandemic has adjusted some of the former measures of success. Look at this. It did it first. What was happening? People abandoned the cities and went to the country, right? A lot of young people went to the country. Why? Because they said, hey, I don't need to be defined anymore by, I just want to get to a nice place, back to nature, right? Where do we go? The cocoon of nature. And that was today. So, but I'm going to show you things, and these are some postings, and they'll load some more here where I do and that was shot a year ago. Here's what's missing today. With no in-person meetings during the past year, we have learned what is missing from our lives. Networking creates social fabric. We're creating social fabric, you and I, today, right?
Definitely.
And this is something I believe FaceTime, not Facebook, leads to relationships. But then
that's a good one.
Yeah, you know what? Because we're on Facebook together. Who cares? Unless and less these days.
I love what you say about treating networking as an attitude of engagement, because it actually, I guess, demystifies the notion of having to go into a room and feel really awkward. Networking is dropping someone a message and asking for a coffee. Networking is just, as you say, saying happy birthday to somebody and sending them an article that you think they might like. So I really love that.
And so let's say you go back and you can network, and you know what? And let's say if it was you, okay, I'm talking to you, I would find out what's going to be good for your career. You're in advertising, you've got this side gig. So obviously you got a passion for, helping young people, keep your cards. And I don't know, I might have shared this with you, and you have a pen because you write down not where a person works. You already have that. What's important to them. I think I mentioned that. I forget whether it was the previous conversation with you before we started or now.
So sorry, Hank, when you take their card, you write on their business card.
Yeah. Not all the time, but I have my pen in the hand. So if I met you at a networking event, I'd write rugby, Aussie. That's all I need, right?
Yeah.
Or Paris, or, and everybody loves to be complimented. And I'm not a, like, a hype, I try, my brand is pretty authentic, but, sometimes people like to be complimented about what they wear or their personal interest. And it's, you don't have it with you, but anything ever, when they talk about their children and you can help them with their children, very important. So I write that, and people say, I have a blog about networking tips for shy people. You're shy, you don't like to network. Here's what you do. The event starts at 6 o'clock. You arrive at 5:45. You'll be there with the organizers, and it'll be you. You go by the bar, you have a drink, people start coming in. Everybody has to talk to you. The first circle will grow around you. They'll think that you're the life of the party.
That's brilliant.
Because, just little simple things like that, right? And I think, and stay away from Mr. or Ms. Martini person. Hey, I love to get to know you and do business with you, like the emails that we all get, and that's easy to break away. I'm sorry, I'll be back. I'd love to talk to you. I have to go to the restroom now.
Get you! Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
You know what I mean?
For the fifth time this evening.
Yes. And you just go in the hallway and come back and just, it's easy to break off from those people. It really is. Yeah. Because they're generally the person, they go back to the next, stash of honey that that they see anyway. So, so working the room is really important. And, and often, I've had jobs doing business development, and these are industry events. So I'm trying to make contacts, but it isn't like, hey, I work for an agency. They would love to work with you. It's like finding out their problems. Here, just listening is the number one thing. Listening. Then people say, and then I try to get like the personal connection. Like I said, you have to know your elevator speech. Hey, what do you do? I'm a marketing consultant. I'm really a big networker. Generally, it's on my card. And it's funny, what's on my card is the things that I do probably change every 3 years, because
that's how you stay relevant.
Stay relevant. Like 20 years ago, did it say digital marketing? Not a chance. You know what I mean? Not a chance. You know what I mean? Ad guy, and I always like a provocative type. If you're on your business on your own, you know what? My title could be Under Assistant West Coast Promo Man, which was the side B of a Rolling Stone song a long time ago. And I listened to it and I said, that sounds like a good job. I like to be an under assistant West Coast promo man. And then the other thing to do is to follow up, right? Yes. And the easiest thing, you send them a LinkedIn invite. I was great meeting you last night. And I have to tell you, I always try to task things that I'd rather pay somebody $15 to do something when I want to make $150 an hour. Like I'd rather pay a college student or whatever it is. And if I'd go to a networking event, I'd go, here's my 100 cards. Send them a LinkedIn invite. Say, hi, great meeting you last night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And task some of that stuff. Now, most people, they're not going to come back with 100 cards, so, but when I went to present at a conference, I'd come back with 100 cards. So following up is very important. And all those personal notes give you a personalized way to follow up and get engagement, right?
Yes.
And I've met people that, I met once, and I would hear a little bit of an accent, and being Canadian, it's I'm bilingual. I don't speak a lot of French, but I could say, oh, tu français? Oui, moi je parle français, trois pistoles. And we know each other from a French connection. You know what I mean? And we can regroup 15 years later, and the first thing they'll do is talk to me in French.
That's it.
Yeah. So following up, and then people say, hey, staying in touch. People ask me, so how do you stay in touch, Hank, with 28,000 people? Well, I do it too. I showed you, in my Hankisms and having a lot of content. And I say this, if you want people to be thinking of you, you have to be thinking of them. If you want people to be thinking of you, you have to be thinking of them. So I'm going to leave you with the benefits of network. First is financial currency, money, the ka-ching. Hey, my network has supported me. You know what? Well, sometimes I'm stupid too, because when business isn't that good, I send things to strangers saying, I'd like to do business with you. But when I evaluate where all my business comes from, it's people that know me.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
It's people that generally know me. And so, but leads to financial currency. And a second benefit is it leads to social currency. And a social currency is a little abstract, but it comes with the understanding that money isn't meaning and success is not significance. And you can read survey upon survey of rich, talented Hollywood actors, whatever, and many aren't happy, right? Yeah. So it's social currency. So part of it is social currency. Through networking, I got, or somebody told me, introduced me to a nonprofit. And I go, oh, I don't know, a nonprofit. And I met through that nonprofit because so many people, because the people involved in nonprofit and philanthropy generally tend to be very successful people.
Exactly.
Right?
In all elements of their life.
In all elements of their life, right? And they tend to be, there's passion people. And, I got involved with Shea Therapeutic Riding Center here, which, helps autistic kids because the tactile feeling of being on a horse is calming and reassuring to them. And, that got me into riding horses. Anyway, so it's social currency. It's for the social fabric. The other thing I say is networking is career insurance. And people say, what is career insurance? COVID, dot-com bust, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Often, and in this one, it's the sectors that it's hit are very different. And but it's career insurance because often within a company, and I know this, I know very many people in pharma, very successful, very successful. Two companies merge, what happens? 200 people lose their jobs. All type A, all successful. Not, people say, oh, only, the people that are performers lose their job. Not true. 100% not true. I know President's Club thinks. So often what happens is when the game of musical chairs, there's one chair and two people. And who gets to sit down in that chair? Is it the finder or the grinder? Is it the inside person or the outside person? Well, the outside person is the networker, and they offer the promise of incremental revenue. See, when a company, even in tough times like a recession, well, who is going to help us, get revenue and lead us out of here? It's the connected person.
Exactly.
It's the connected person. It's not the person in the corner doing the grinding that could be much more valuable. It's the connected person. So it gives you career insurance. And you know what? And I forget some of the other benefits, but those are just three. But you know what? If you do this, if you go out and you network with an attitude of engagement, and if you go out without any biases or any judgment, and I have met, some of the most, people in the world that are externally, you would think that they're the worst connectors. They turned out to be some of my best connections. Right. I say, if you have that attitude, you'll see how your life will grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hank, this has been a treasure trove of networking benefits, tips and tricks and what have you. And I'd love to just conclude by saying, I once heard somewhere that your network is your net worth. And I think you've 100% validated that comment in this conversation. And even more so these days, it's so important to build your network. And thank you for sharing your wisdom on how that can be done.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. So I've enjoyed this. We'll talk after. I'll do it. We can do another one, and and then we can talk. And I'll connect you to some folks, and send me a link, because I'll put it on my LinkedIn and describe the show and tell me what it is, and I will and I'll get it out there. So thank you for reaching out to me. It's the marvels of technology and the marvels of SEO, and that you're able to Google something, and here I am,
That's it.
So great talking to you. See you, my friend. Take care.